Good evening and welcome to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno. We're live on Family TV, also live on Family Radio where the music does the talking. Use the WhatsApp number 0786 316 316 and talk to us at any time. Also through the SMS line 20316. Well, today we'll be looking at some of the stories that are making headline across our country, and also we'll be talking to someone who has had a taste of the Kazi Mtaani project by the government. And also CS for Interior, Fred Matiang'i, has actually called a caution, and he said that it's high time the MCAs behave or else the government will have to intervene into the cases. That is in regard to the Nairobi County Assembly fights that were experienced yesterday. Well, that and much more coming up in this hour. Thank you so much for joining us again, and well, let's get started. Now, thousands of teachers are reeling in shock after their employer denied them the promotion and a salary rise for the second year running, citing the membership to the Kenya National Union of Teachers. Their counterpart, who ditched the giant union led by Wilson Sossion after it clashed with the Teachers Service Commission last year, are celebrating after receiving fatter paychecks this end month. Wilson Sossion, the Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, has today condemned the act by the Teacher Service Commission not to comply with the signed Collective Bargain Agreement 2016. The leaders of the trade union have expressed complete disapproval, warning that this act will greatly affect the working of their teachers once the schools resume.
Of the same by the Teacher Service Commission is not only contempt of the court directives, but a violation of Clause 4 of the CBA by TSC, and a declaration that it has decided to manage teachers outside the Code of Regulations. How can the employer agree with us to use the Code of Regulations and we sign? And when we leave the table, they throw the Code of Regulations out of the window and introduce their own rules that are not negotiated. So what TSC is telling us is, in effect, is that it is managing teachers outside the Code of Regulations.
Ruling iliyotoka, kesi iliyokuwa kotini na ikapewa ruling na Baira Mogaya, kesi nambari 151 ya mwaka 2018 iliwekwa kotini na Teacher Service Commission. Ndiye petitioner. Sio not. So sasa matokeo ya kesi yao yalipotokea, wameanguka kotini, wameanza kulaumu chama. Tunataka tuende pamoja tuzungumze kwa meza ya mazungumzo kuhusu yale yote yanayotokea na walimu wetu wapate haki yao.
All right, the plea of teachers there since 2016, some of them have not gotten calling on the government to actually look into that. And now let's move forward to the COVID-19 situation in our country. And today we recorded 544 new cases of COVID-19, raising the country's total to 19,125. Health CS Mutahi Kagwe confirmed today. The new positive cases were drawn from 5,259 samples that were tested in the last 24 hours. And that brings the country's cumulative total test to 289,759. On a positive note, however, 113 patients have recovered from the disease, bringing the total number of recoveries to 8,021.
In the last 24 hours, we tested some 5,259 persons, therefore bringing a cumulative figure of 289,759. Now, out of those 5,259, some 544 persons turned positive, and out of them, 340 are male and 204 are female. So we need to, again, this gender issue, if we were getting just a number of male that we get for females, the figure would be substantially low. But I also want to point out to our female folk and our sisters and mothers, your figures are also now beginning to go up. We also lost 12 people in the last 24 hours in various hospitals around the country, which now brings the total to some 311 persons who have also passed on, and our sincere condolences to the families of those who have lost their loved ones. We have discharged some 113 persons, bringing our cumulative discharge a total of 8,021.
Well, Mr. Kagwe also noted that the cold weather is a contributing factor, fueling the recent spike in the virus cases, and he urged people to avoid crowds.
In discussions again with the medical personnel and persons who are informed, we have realized that it is possible that the weather that we are experiencing at the moment is also part of the reason why we may be seeing our figures climbing up. Not so much because of the particular weather of the day, but because this is the second peak season of the flu. As you know, we have two seasons, one in March and May, and then we have got the second peak, which is July, September, and October. And of course, when you get flu, then that means that you have an underlying issue regarding your ability and your immunity to protect yourself from the disease. And therefore, it's just to urge people, in this cold season, it is very important that we do a number of things. A is that we must avoid congregating together. That is the gatherings we have been talking about, and that informs you also. Part of the decision that we took to stop the sale of alcoholic beverages in restaurants and other places. It is part of that reason. It is to reduce the people congregating together, and you should avoid it. As a Kenyan, you should avoid it. And the second thing, of course, is to adhere to the infectious control measures that we have given to the country, and one not repeat the same thing over and over again.
We all need to be on the outlook to make sure that we protect ourselves from getting this virus, especially with this cold season that we are experiencing right now. Vincent Mulinge, thank you so much for tuning in all the way from Thika. Molly, I can see you, and I'll get back to your question in a couple of minutes. I also have Kipsluk from Nakuru. Thank you for tuning in. You can also contribute to the discussion that we're having today. If you have any comment on any of the stories that we are airing, send in your response to 20316. That is the SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Joseph from Kiseria, na asante sana. You're saying enjoying the show kama kawaida. You didn't give me your name, but you're saying, hey, I am tuned in. I have always tuned in. You're such a blessing to us. Thank you so much for tuning in and for reaching out today. Kuna mwingine pia. Anne from Baruch in Nakuru County. Thank you so much for tuning in. We bless the Lord for you today. Alafu kuna mwingine anaitwa nani? All right, I'll try and get to that some minutes later. Now, to other news. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i has ordered the immediate disarmament of the staff of the Nairobi County Assembly just hours after violent altercations at the assembly left an MCA nursing injuries. He disclosed that so far 14 firearms have been confiscated by the government. He was speaking during the launch of a book documenting Kenya's journey in police reforms, authored by former Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet. Matiang'i criticized the fighting between members of the Nairobi County Assembly, and he said that it has become a nuisance, noting that drastic measures needed to be taken to end the insanity at the County Assembly.
5 to 30% of our deployment in security in the CBD is around the County Assembly of Nairobi, and everybody can see. I don't know why we are so pretentious and hypocritical. Tunadanganyana hapa, we are just lying around to each other here. That is not an institution that deliberates on anything. They are constantly fighting. It's a war zone. So when things happen, now we are dealing with a crisis here, which could actually be a reputational crisis for us as security sector people. I don't condone, and I've said this clearly, I do not condone any violent handling of members of the public or leaders. But a time has come for us to be honest, to be very sincere, and speak to each other as responsible people. I mean, are we going to get a contingent of GSU and ask Mr. Kanja to station a contingent of GSU outside the county assembly? Because they're constantly fighting, it's war and so on and so forth. And I've asked the Inspector General of Police today, with the regional security team in Nairobi, to disarm everyone around that county assembly, anyone who holds firearms, those.
All right, now let's head over to Kirinyaga County, where the county assembly has suspended 3 MCAs, accusing them of indiscipline during the recent impeachment of the county boss. The report by the Power and Privilege Committee, chaired by the Speaker of the County Assembly, was adopted by the whole House, where 2 elected MCAs and 1 nominated MCA was suspended from 6 committees and 4 plenary sitting, respectively. Now, according to the committee, Kini Ward MCA Johnson Munene Muraguri and nominated MCA Lucy Njeri was suspended for 6 months for both plenary and committee sittings. Karumandi MCA Anthony Kinyua was suspended for 5 months from the plenary sitting and committee sitting, while Patrick Chomba of Kabera Ward was suspended for 4 months.
That Honorable Anthony Kinyua Munene apologizes to Honorable James Kamau Murango and Honorable John Baptista Kanga in the plenary of the County Assembly. 2. That Honorable Anthony Kinyua Munene be and is hereby suspended from all committees where he is a member for a period of 5 calendar months.
To the other colleagues, we have respect to this honorable house, and also we conduct our business and we conduct ourselves in a disciplined manner, Mr. Speaker, whenever we are in this assembly and precincts, Mr. Speaker, and also outside there, Mr. Speaker.
All right, I remember someone was asking me what has come over our MCAs, Nairobi County, and now we have Kirinyaga County. But anyway, let's wait and see how that unfolds. Now, the Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata has directed chiefs and other administration offices to strictly enforce the Ministry of Health protocol on public gatherings. Elungata warned that action will be taken against administration officials in whose areas of jurisdiction there were breach of guidelines issued by the government to combat the spread of coronavirus. Now, the administrator singled out Kilifi County, where he said funerals were taking place in total disregard to the set guidelines.
Asiwe katika sehemu ya umma, awe kwake nyumbani. Kwa hivyo mtu anapopatwa na polisi baada ya saa 3 asianze kulaumu, asianze kusema yeye ni mkubwa, asianze kusema alikuwa na majukumu mengi siku iliyotangulia. Asitoe sababu yoyote, ajue tu kwamba amevunja sheria na atapelekwa kotini. Na tunataka kusisitiza kwamba hilo lifanyike. Hata kama uko ndani ya gari na uko barabarani saa 3, tutakushika, kwa sababu hii kitu lazima ituondokee. Na tukizidi kufanya mambo yetu kiholela ama kwa hali ya kawaida, hatutaweza kutoboa. Na nimewaeleza machifu wa kule Kilifi kwa mfano, ambao katika sehemu zao matanga ambayo inastahili kuwa na watu 15 imekuwa ikizidisha idadi na kwenda sana. Hata tuliona matanga moja watu walikuwa na karibia 50, tukashika watu huko. Nataka hao machifu wajue kwamba sasa si watu tutashika, ni wao wenyewe ambao watachukulia watu wa hiyo, kwa sababu tunatarajia kwamba watekeleze hili jambo kwa njia ambayo inafaa, kwa njia ambayo rais amesema.
The Coastal Region RC, they're giving directives to the local administrators, including the chiefs. Well, now in Wajir County, and a section of leaders and residents of that county are calling upon the President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve the county government of Wajir, to run away corruption, mismanagement of public funds, and failure by the county to handle the coronavirus pandemic efficiently. The leaders pointed out the poor state of Wajir County Hospital, saying the facility has no capacity to handle the COVID-19 cases. This follows the death of a health worker at the referral hospital.
The county, we had our first case of corona death, who is unfortunately a health worker of 30 years, who could not even get oxygen in the so-called Wajir Referral Hospital.
Naona hapa iko corruption mingi sana. Hapa iko corruption mingi sana. Hiyo pesa ameenda wapi? Nataka kujua.
Allocated close to 200 million in the supplementary estimate. The national government has sent close to 50 million plus and a lot of equipments to Wajir. But the gentleman died saying, I can't breathe. I need oxygen. Please, oxygen.
The public health officer died of COVID-19 related complications at the referral hospital on Friday.
And what we only ask His Excellency the President is, please, you dissolve that county or take over, like Nairobi. Because there where we have an incompetent governor.
Wajia and the corruption wakija Wajia. Wanachukua cha yao na wanaenda. Sidi ukikuja akikuja. Hakuna mtu ofisi gani anaingia, wanachukua mali yao na wanaenda.
All right, let's refer back to what the president said when he was giving the national briefing and say that only 70% of the counties are actually prepared. So Wajir is not among the counties that are prepared when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic. And now the residents want that county government to be dissolved because they are saying it's not helping at all. Anyway, Charles wa kutoka Kaimosi Cheptulu, thank you so much for tuning in today. Your name is Sarah Naivasha. You're saying thank you for the amazing show today, and also the music is really doing the talking. Asante sana for tuning in. For now, let's talk about matters donkey meat. And now the race to restart and revive the one lucrative donkey meat industry in Baringo County has commenced. This follows an order by the government to stop the slaughtering of donkeys and export to their produce and products before revoking the licenses of exiting slaughterhouses across the country. As a result, 1,000 residents, particularly 4,000 young people, have been rendered unemployed for quite some time. And they were actually employed directly by the farm, and they were left jobless because of this directive. Now, the industry had previously been established following the amendment of Meat Control Act in 2012 to classify donkeys and horses as food animals with the aim of internationally eating the meat and international markets being targeted. Listen in.
And now we are at 150. The reason we started it is to curb the complaints that donkeys are decreasing with time.
All right, the people of Baringo County are actually complaining that after the closure of that slaughterhouse by the name Goldox, I think, that slaughterhouse actually that was causing employment for the youth of Baringo County, more than 4,000 of them, and right now they want it reopened. Well, the first phase of Kazi Mtaani project by the government that was introduced actually to help the youth take part in cleaning because of this pandemic has come to an end. But it has some challenges and some hitches. Is it also the solution to youth unemployment that was stated earlier by the government? Well, we earlier talked to one Calvin Odhiambo who took part in the first phase of Kazi Mtaani, and this is what he had to say.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for hosting me today. This is the day. The first phase of Kazi Mtaani was a wonderful one, to say so. But we had some hitches here and there. At first, when we joined, we followed a very simple procedure where we signed some indemnity forms and a payment contract here and there. Then we started work immediately on a Monday. Then we were divided into two groups. Each supervisor was given number of 25 people per group, and he divided the groups into other halves. That's half of 25.
Yeah.
Then he allocated first people to work for the 11 days, then the other one who will come for the phase 2 to work after the 11 days were over. Yeah.
All right, and maybe take us through your daily activities, like
this work was okay. What we did is we engaged in in litter collection and fumigation of some parts. We even distributed soaps, and we were draining the sewers, even slashing, and in different parts, even sweeping the roads. Actually, even you swept the roads.
All right, and maybe I'm interested to know, were you dressed by the, let's say, the NMS, because it's a government project? So were you given some cleaning gears, mlikuwa mmepewa vest, reflectors, and all that, or were you supposed to provide for your own dressing equipment?
Now that's where the problem came in. At first, when we were signed for this job, we were told that the government will provide the protective equipment, such as the gloves and the overalls and the gumboots, even the working equipment such as the slashers and the jembes. But to our utter surprise, when we arrived during starting the work, we were told that if you don't have tools, you'll not work. So some of us went an extra mile to even go at home and bring the tools to work. But this was such a confusion that we could not understand what happened, because the newsletter that was sent to us said that they'll give us equipment to work with. But unfortunately, we were told to even go buy brooms for ourselves, no gloves, and they expect us to get in the sewers. This was so unfortunate.
All right. And maybe talking about some of the challenges that you have gone through, we've come across people who've actually protested that the enrollment process is somehow corrupt. I don't know what your experience was when it came to enrollment, and are there any documents you submitted? And is there corruption in that process?
Okay. At first, when we were signed in for this job, we were just asked to bring our national IDs, national identity cards in the photocopy, and we were told to bring our phone numbers, which are registered through our national ID and which use M-Pesa, so that the money that they'll send us, the daily fee, to our M-Pesa direct. But unfortunately, this at the chief's office and the chief comes, there's something that goes on that's not right. Some people, the people who are on the list are not the same people who are on the ground, you see. So we don't know where they come from. We have never seen them. Others, actually, they even signed in, but we have never seen them. And to add on this, another havoc has occurred in our county here, that the phase 2 that was supposed to start work yesterday, there was a protest in this county that there are some people who were told to come. They wanted to recruit other people, and eventually at first there were people who were assigned for the second phase. Now this brought a lot of confusion to a point that there's no work that started out today.
All right. And so it's true that there are people who are actually corrupt when it comes to signing in and who will go where when it comes to the Kazi Mtaani project.
Yeah, some people are corrupt. It's the way they say connection. You see, they say connection. So if you know somebody and they know somebody, then already you have the job. And some people are there at the chief's camp office, toiling from morning until evening, looking for a space to work. But there are some people who, they are just sitting at home and their names are already presented to the chief's camp office. They are already in the list and they were never recruited. Yeah.
All right, that's really unfortunate. And maybe what would you want to change in this project? Because it's a project that the president said should benefit the youth.
Yeah, you know, that's what even made me wonder. The president himself said that let not politicians get into this project. It's a project for the youth. But what I want them to improve is, first of all, they provide the equipment, especially the gloves and the gumboots. They provide the equipment, even the tools. Some of us, we live in towns. We don't live in a country. You can't expect people living in town to have a djembe. So they should provide these things and make their work, make our work more easier. And even they are not convenient in terms of contract signing and payment, because they go through a very long process. People go through a very long process of signing different forms each and every day, a form, to a point that we sign even duty rotas, like you register, you sign in at this time, you sign out at this time. We sign a lot of papers, but when it comes to the payment, we are delayed. Let me surprise you. Since we stopped phase 1 on Monday, up to now, we have not received any payments.
Oh, wow.
And the phase 2 are supposed to start working, and we have not received any payments. Now, this makes the wonder when August 12th will reach, when the other phase 2 will come in, and how will they work and they were not paid? Now we'll lose trust in the government. We'll lose trust in this project. We'll see that this is like another fraud thing going on here and there.
All right, and lastly, you know, this is actually supposed to solve issues of unemployment amongst the youth. Do you think we're taking the right direction, and will unemployment rates actually in our country go down with Kazi Mtaani project by the government?
Okay, you know, Kazi Mtaani is just like with the way they can solve the problem of unemployment, unless this be an endless project. It goes on each and every year. Let it not be just that it was brought during this COVID period. Let it be that it be something that goes on and goes on. If it goes on and goes on, then it will help solve the problem of unemployment. But if it will we'll find that by December, after the 6 months, then they'll say that Kazi Mtaani project has died, we don't do that thing anymore. They'll not have solved anything. Because let me surprise you, most of the people who are in Kazi Mtaani actually are not the unemployed youths. There are people who are in schools, others are even teachers, others are people who their businesses went down during this COVID period, so they went for another alternative, you see. So they should bring another project that will help to solve unemployment. But for this is just to sustain the youth during this COVID period.
All right, and lastly, before I let you go, if you were given a chance to take part in the project again, would you do it?
Yeah, I will do it, because apparently right now, I myself, I don't know what to do at home now. So I'll take part in the Kazi Mtaani project unless I hear some hitches in the payments. Then I'll lose trust in the government, and I'll say I'll see it like a fraud. I'll see it like a fraud that I won't do this project ever again. You see, but if they make the payments earlier before the second phase begins, surely I'll get in the second phase.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Calvin. We hope that these hitches, and especially when it comes to the finances and disbursing the money, will be sorted by the government so that the second phase can be a bit easier. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. We really appreciate you giving us that information.
Thank you. Thank you too, Sarah. Have a nice evening.
All right, you too. Bye. All right, Calvin Odhiambo there giving us his experience on how it was with the Kazi Mtaani project by the government. And Martin is really concerned whether they will be paid. And you're saying you worked with the NYS scandal in Gilgil, and most of the people were not paid. You had over 2,500 people registered, and you only saw 13 cohort circles holding my savings. My last 6 weeks were never paid. That's why I can't go for better to do businesses and go hungry. You're actually talking about the disadvantages of this project by the government. Well, you know what, we're just hopeful. It was an assurance by the president that this time it will be different. So let's wait and see if the government will stick to its word, because as Calvin is saying, they're just waiting to see if the government will stick to that word or it will go against its own word. And in that reason, he says he hopes that he will not lose hope in our government and trust for that matter. Thank you, Martin, for that good insight you've given us. Martin, unasema we pray and hope that Kina Calvin and those taking part in the Kazi Mtaani project will be paid. All right, let's pray for them some more. Now, police officers in Port Victoria Police Station in Budalangi, Busia County, were forced to lobby tear gas canisters to disperse a fisherman who had marched to the station, accusing the officers of harassment. The fishermen say the police constantly interfere with trade and demand bribes. They are now demanding the transfer of Kenya Port Guard officers, whom they accuse of frustrating them.
Tunataka kuwa na mkutano hapa leo kuhusiana na mambo ya uvuvi wa Budalangi. Kutoka hapo tena wataitisha stakeholders wote tuongee, baadaye waita wavuvi wote tuwapatie ripoti.
Maneno ya kusema ya kwamba nyavu zao zimekamatwa siku hapa, tutajua, tutafuatilia, na kama iko sheria tutaangalia.
Now, crossing the borders to Uganda, and car importers in Uganda are worried about the effects of COVID-19 and how it can edge them out of their businesses. They say since the country sealed off its borders and introduced strict measures in March this year, they have seen a slant in their businesses. The country's tax authority, however, says they have already responded to their plight and that of the importers.
On average, we are expecting an inflow of about 150 units to the car bond. But during COVID, it came down to around between 30 and 50. So that's almost cutting it down to about 30%. We have introduced a car service as another way of trying to boost our income and maybe to diversify in case there's COVID. And along with that, we had also planned a restaurant, which we have now opened.
All taxpayers who had outstanding penalties and fines as at 30th June 2020 were forgiven. So in other words, and I can tell you that the penalty and the fine is a huge liability on the taxpayer.
In other news, the former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. yesterday unveiled the capstone of his sweeping economic recovery plan with a speech that outlined his vision to advance racial equity in the American economy. The Democratic presidential hopeful, who has not been tested for COVID-19, criticized Trump's handling of the pandemic and discussed race, the economy, and news on his possible running mate. The candidate addressed racial justice, saying Trump only adds fuel to the fire.
People are losing faith in what the president says. And if a president repeatedly says things to you that are not true, and then there comes a time when they say, I have something that I think can cure you, but it could really hurt you. You're not going to listen to the guy who says, been lying to you.
Are there specific states right now that you think should halt their reopenings and roll things back? And if so, which states?
The president has given us a false choice. He said that we have to get back to work and also deal with COVID. You can't get this country going again unless you get COVID under control. And so he has been really late in the game.
And to be clear, have you been tested yet?
No, I have not. This isn't about law and order. It's about a political strategy to revive a failing campaign. Every instinct Trump has is to add fuel to the fire.
All right, according to Biden, it's not about being tested. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to This Is The Day. Remember that Prayer Circle is coming next after this show on Family TV and Family Radio. So send in your prayer requests and also your praise reports so that we can take them to the Lord together. And also tomorrow morning we'll be having Devotion Hour and Jam 316 with Pastor James Okumu. So remember to tune in also. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. My name is Sarah Otieno.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.